Okay, guys, I wanted to bring all of us to discuss the community essay. Um, this is an area of a lot of interest with our students because pretty much every student will do community essays. Community essays do become a problem because sometimes they are mixed with diversity questions in there. Sometimes they are also mixed with what are you going to do for the school? I mean, just in the documentation we have, we saw three types of use cases. One which was tell me something about a community you've been a part of, or tell me something about what you learned out of a community that you were a part of and can contribute to the college. And third was what kind of communities in the college do you want to be a part of and how will you contribute? Right there, those are three variations just of the community essay. It gets worse when like NYU has the question, which is all about community, and then suddenly towards the end, it's like, but we're really looking for your diversity perspective. So, what I wanted to do was, as we provide guidance to our students, what is it that you think we should be asking them to look at? Like maybe what defines a community in our opinion, what does not, and what are some bad applications you've seen or exceptional cases which you had to fix in the past because people would want to know both of those cases. I'll start it off by saying community experience from colleges, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, if you've all been through college and experiences with these students, but what they're looking for is how are you going to help the school become a more collaborative space for working together where professors are not going to meet you as often. You're going to be in the classroom maybe 8 to 10 hours every week, which is very different from what happens in school. You're expected to be entrepreneurial, you're expected to be passionate about certain things, and you're expected to reach out and lean in on a community. So, as much as they ask about what explain to me about a community you were a part of, my assertion is they're really looking for leadership in a different way, leadership in a vulnerable way, leadership in a leaning in way. Any opinions on what a community essay could be differently, or if you want to just further go in, we can go in the order on the screen. We can start with Anu, then Ariana, and then Shruti and Nikki, or whoever wants to chime in. I'm okay with anything.
Okay, I can get started. So, community, the way to think about it is this is one more opportunity to showcase who you are as a person, not as a leader or not as a, oh, I love my subject or anything, but how will you fit into their community and contribute to it? What are the strengths and skill sets you're bringing? So, as Harpal had pointed, one is about the past work you've done, one will be about the future work you want to do, and one is how you bridge both or how you will add to diversity, which is a little more pushing the envelope. But again, I try to use the word instead of leadership, I try to use the word communityship because when you give them, oh, it's like leadership, they come with, oh, I am God and I save this community and that community and I want to save this community. So to put that behind, I tell them, I want to see you're vulnerable. Hey, I want to do this. I take pride, or I am part of this gang and this is so chill and I cannot believe I have enmeshed in this beautiful community and we have impacted each other. And the lessons I gained and the ways I've created an impact, not only for the community, but I learned and grew in so many ways, which is not found elsewhere in my application. So this is a new facet about me, and I cannot wait to work in such a club like, okay, the Malayalam Speakers Community Club or the South Asian Welfare Club. Even when they don't ask for a future and they ask only about your past, show them what you have learned, how you have contributed, and how you're so into looking into this future. So by showing a specific club or a community, you're telling them, hey, I've researched that also. So always do the arc connection. Start with where you are, what you did, and then your contributions, your learning, and what you look forward to. If they're asking a clear, what do you want to contribute to, then start from there and drive home the point how what you've done in the past a little bit can come and enhance this even further. So there should always be a connect of the past or the future and the future, like one way or another. And when they're asking you to bring in the diversity window, you just open up and say, wait, I'm not only this, but a bit of that, and I can see the strengths enmeshing and opening out to welcome more people without boundaries and to show our unity. Like that's sort of a build. So you're also answering diversity. This essay needs a lot of thinking and building, but once you put the hard work to build one time, you can apply it to the past prompt, future prompt, combo prompt, or diversity prompt. But I have a worksheet where I've prepared how do you think of the communities you belong to? Make a list, either by places or by people or by action or by interest. Put them down and then see which has the most strong storytelling aspect and then work it further. So that's my 2 cents or 3 cents on it.
Okay. Good points. This template structure is good, what you're thinking about past and present. And stories, Ariana, do you have anything or things you've seen? Please.
I mean, I think Anu said it all, but I think just ensuring it's specific, no, in a good way, but ensuring it's specific and I think showing that openness. I've seen a lot of stuff in the past with students where they aren't specific and don't show that arc and all of that. So ensuring all of that's there. Yeah.
Shruti?
So I think Anu covered like all what to do, but in terms of like what not to do, I feel like a lot of students want to write about like mentorship clubs they've been a part of or like tutoring clubs. And obviously that's like something that anybody could do. You want to talk about something that you can specifically be a part of so they can envision who you're going to be at your college. Anybody can be a mentor in anything. If you're like mentoring in like an environmental club and, helping other people to grow this garden or whatever, that's a specific enough story. But always try to add flavor or add depth instead of just sticking with the baseline tutoring, mentoring, because that doesn't really tell a lot about you as a character. Like that could go in anybody's application. And then I think a lot of students feel like if it is like the standard contribution prompt, like it's not asking about diversity, I feel like a lot of students feel like they have to like go to their, ethnic background, write about being Indian and all that. And like you can, but also do know that like you don't want to regurgitate everything that other people have said. If you like, it's good that you like go to pujas and like you do all these cultural aspects, but what does that say about what you're going to bring? Do you have like a unique voice where maybe you care about, Indians being involved in politics, and that's something that you don't see a lot of people caring about. And that's something that you like want to start a club at. I think that's not to say that like just being interested culturally is bad, but it's not going to be different enough to help you stand apart from other applicants who are writing about, the same topic. So I guess those are like 2 main things to keep in mind from my end.
Well said. Very well said. I think I totally get that. Nikki, where are you going with this?
Everybody's had such great ideas. I love it all. What to do's and what not to do's. I think also to, help students either think a little bit more deeply or kind of make a decision on what they're actually going to talk about is, when I think of communities, I think of networks, and like you've probably all seen those just like graphics out there. It's like a person and like the bubbles that they're all connected to, right? So like, what is the network that the student has that is like the densest? Everybody is connected to each other, right? And like, that's kind of their core group, whether it is their dance team or their robotics team, or maybe just like their science lab class, or maybe it is, their temple community, just whatever it is, who are they spending the most high quality time with? That's their community. And then in terms of what are you doing for that community, how are they supporting that community? That's kind of like the obvious point. But I had an interesting conversation with a student earlier today. We're gearing his personal statement towards how he expresses different love languages, which might be a book, a concept that you guys have heard about, right? Like how people love each other, like in the verb form. So through acts of service, through, using like complimentary words, whatever. So like, and his essay in particular is about how part of his family is Japanese, the other part is Spanish. So he's got a very eclectic mix of experiences. And so he's bringing in how his love languages have expressed themselves through what he's, Spanish people are a lot more emotive, whereas like Japanese are a lot more about like, service, and he folded cranes or something. Anyway, point 2 is that, these were very personal things that he did in ways that he supported other people in the way that they needed to be supported. So I always think like I like to reverse engineer these essays to like why is the admissions committee asking it, and like Harpal said, how like you'll fit into the community, and what is that but the relationships that you make with other people. And I think also in this day and age, there's a lot of talk about kids not forming as close relationships because technology, So I think that's also a good point. Like, what does a college want? Kids who are willing to get into a community really deeply and then, make change from the inside out.
Do you think a community of maybe 2 people you impacted is a community enough?
Absolutely.
How? I mean, that's
Absolutely.
I've had cases where students have come and told me stories like, oh, one of my friends it's pretty dark. He said contemplating suicide. And I had to I spent time with him and I convinced him. And then he talked about how he joined some of the, suicide prevention lines, which I felt it was good, but I always stayed nervous that how have you impacted the masses? Because his essay was mostly about just what he did with a friend.
I think it's fine. I mean, change starts at home, right? And I think also, and one thing that, Shruti was saying, what not to do is like dive into anything that's surface level and like what is a surface, but, spreads along the top versus how you're going really in depth into things. And I think what's deeper than to go down an existential crisis of mortality with your best friend? I don't know. And then having, learning from this experience and doing something about it. I think that's brilliant.
I know you had a perspective. Go ahead.
Yes. So as you asked, impacting 1 people or 2 people, right? Like 1 person or 2 people. I tell them, like, don't think about, because many people, right, ask Shruti as what are the don'ts. They think community is a disguised leadership. And I tell them, write leadership from your analytical mind, write communityship. That's the word I use, from your heart. When you lead with your heart, you're not leading. You're creating, empowering, trying to carry a community with you, whether it is 1 person or 2 people, because you are speaking the language of compassion and working with the community. And for 17-year-old, changing that 1 kid from committing something is monumental. So impact need not be by numbers, like 650 people were saved, 700 people were given food. Even if you change the life in a meaningful little way for 1 person, that's a lot to do for a 17-year-old. And that really speaks from their heart, which is what community should be about. And if he went on to do, okay, I called the hotline, I became a volunteer, I encouraged my friend to become a volunteer. Now we go and support this system here. Every Sunday we bond over this, and we have met 50 volunteers now, and we share the same passion. How beautiful is that? So 1 person.
I get another essay, which is I helped build the masks for Ukraine. Like, Ukraine needed help, or during the pandemic, I went out and I made a website. It sounds so superfluous to me. I mean, they just sound so weird because nobody in their sane mind honestly does so much. We don't do it either. So I have a hard time believing when people go like, I created a next door group and I was giving out information where to find the COVID vaccine. I'm like, okay, really? Okay. But what do you guys think?
I feel somewhere the 17-year-old, I don't know, like many of my students have had that God, like hero, like storytelling. And I'm like, I beg of you, take that image away and come and tell me the story from your heart so I can find sincerity and just simpleness. And a 17-year-old's little dreams and hurdles and challenges, tell me on that range. So it is credible, it is compelling, and it is enriching. So that's a big deal, because they're like, the way they write it also, I gave masks and I look forward to thinking how I save the world. I'm like, no, God, no, don't say that. Say it in a very sincere way.
Go ahead, Ariana.
I think the thing of like, what does it mean to you? I think otherwise it, like Nikki was saying, it does feel just like surface, like there's nothing deeper, like we want honors to the student, who they are.
Shruti? Go ahead, Shruti.
Yeah. And then adding on to Anu's point about like painting yourself as a great hero, I feel like no matter like let's say you cured cancer, like if I read that in an essay, I'm not necessarily going to believe you. So I feel like it's okay if you want to write yourself like really positively, but always qualify it and be like, I know that I didn't directly, solve this problem in Ukraine, but it was enough that I helped the 10 people in my neighborhood. And that's something I look forward to doing. Like, even if you are showing yourself to be that great, I think showing that a little bit of honesty and like authenticity will really go like a long way. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to see someone who's like too boastful.
Yeah.
We just want like good, honest people.
I mean, as long as the experience, even if it's a grandiose experience, and if you can follow it up with what you did with that, like if you just don't focus on the what, like I had one student about 2 years ago, he was so fixated on the fact that he's a good baker. He can bake good cakes. And during the pandemic, he would bring cakes to his friends and the aroma brought them all together. And I was like, okay, keep moving. What beyond that? You got a cake. But then we were able to finally get him to connect the dots to, how he found peace with just himself staying at home, creating new flavors of the cake. And it didn't matter. It transcended that one meeting of going out to friends, or Ukraine, creating some of those kits. I mean, how it taught him how to learn how to put mechanical engineering pieces together, or frugality of that equipment, and the logistics that he learned about, sending it, or the interpersonal issues that he saw with people where he thought he's doing humanity a great service, but apparently there were a lot of ego issues along the way. Something, I mean, give me some juice to, besides the fact that you made masks.
Yeah, and to expand on Shruti's point, like how she said, one of my students had written mountain biking terminology and learning lessons from it and applying to life. And he talked about how he met a group of veterans and they became weekly meetup, like mountain biking. And then he saw them going through many things in life, and it motivated him to go to veterans hospital and volunteer. He wants to go into medicine, and he has done some fantastic work, but that comes across in a very humble, I am educating myself to understand what they have gone through and what can I do in my free time to help understand this and pursue things at a bigger level. So that is a humble storytelling. I tell them, think from your heart, and then use your mind to guide you to write it. Otherwise it becomes, I am God and I cured cancer. No, you did not.
I had a student write once about, he started his essay by saying, I'm so thankful to you. You saved me from getting evicted from my house. I'm like, okay, so where is this going? And he was like, I taught this guy how to use the stock market or to do some trading. And he saved, so he made money to save rent for his house. And I'm like, okay, where is this going? It's like, how did you teach him so much and one person that he was able to save, make enough money on a monthly basis to pay rent for his house? And he was just adamant about that story. I'm like, I don't buy it. So who else is going to buy it? So, but yeah, he went on to write that. But any other stories anybody else has? I mean, what's the message maybe that we want to get back to our students who are right now writing like if you were to sum it up, take everybody, one perspective that you want to share that they should remember. I mean, mine would be just tell me your favorite hangout place where you feel at home. Could be with your 4 friends. That could be a community. It could be your dojo, your taekwondo place. It could be a running club that you're a part of. And then just tell me, why do people like you there? I've seen one essay type come which says, what will people miss most about you when you leave this community? Just take that as a perspective, and it doesn't have to be a leadership thing. It could be leaning in. It could be what you've learned from them and that you're excited to explore more in school, but that'll be my one thing. Anybody else with any final things? Okay, well then this is good. It's been a great this thing. I will send it off to the students, and this is in good shape.